Second quarter underway. Goldstein and Gawn to do battle. And a 10-point differential between these two sides. Gawn won it down, but Goldstein got the clearance to Greenwood, to Goldstein. Working it out via hand. Inside 50, Coleman Jones attacked it hard, but Rivers floats back, intercepts. And they again work their way through the middle of Casey Fields. Harms, though, put Salem under the hammer, but Salem was up to the task. Tomlinson gives the D's a forward 50 entry. Brown got hands to the ball. Crumbing there was Pickett. Put it towards McDonald's advantage. Sees a couple of options deep towards the goal square. Hayden under the pump. And the Kangaroos are able to repel here through Goldstein, and Polek gets the clearing kick. Zerha one-on-one here with Hibberd, and Hibberd did well to win a one-on-one. Had Oliver in support, and Oliver is back on the field after a dislocated finger in that first quarter. Neil Bullen to Harms.
So no issues with Oliver. Did come off the ground, got his finger put back into place in front of us, and then went into the rooms just for a further check-up.
McKay one-on-one there with Brown, and well played by Ben Mackay to take a strong mark in front.
That's a great grab. Went looking for the body, it wasn't there. Then he thought, I'll just go for the football and take front position. That's a poor execution of a simple kick, though.
You mentioned no Robbie Tarrant, though. He's probably going to be the guy that has to lift his output somewhat, and also responsibility.
Yeah, and it probably flows on. You're looking at someone like a Core, who may be undersized at times, but he's just going to have to play a little bit bigger, probably out of his comfort zone, given that you don't have the stability of the Robbie Tarrant next to him.
Yep. So McDonald keeps it low towards the top of the goal square, and there is Mackay again. He was paid the mark in the end. He had some treatment there from Kane Turner. He's some friendly fire, but umpire said he held it long enough. Polek had an opportunity there to clear, but he's kicked it out of bounds, and the full was really off balance as he put through that. He attempted that left foot kick. But yeah, big season for Jared Polek after being re-rookie by the club. Now Max Gawn lining up here. We know he can launch a big one. He doesn't go for goal here. He goes towards McDonald, who read that superbly off the boot and now has an easy set shot attempt.
Well, it's just weighted numbers. Kangas putting themselves under more pressure than they needed, trying to be a little bit cute off that half-back line. But I love that kick from Max Gawn. That's almost a set play. That is a come up, allow your defender to sit underneath the football like Mackay was just then, and you launch over the top of him. You actually sit the ball on the spare defender's head.
Great kick from Gawn, allows McDonald to kick his second goal, and that's 5 on the trot now for the D's. As Tom McDonald puts through his second goal, should tick over his 200-game milestone as well this year. Tom McDonald with 142 goals to his name. So the D's now starting to show some authority at Casey Field. So what do you say, particularly if you're David Noble at quarter time, what would have been your address or your key focus against the D's?
Well, it just depends what their focus was coming in, but there would have been two clear messages I would have been saying. I would have gone straight to the midfield and say, hey, that's unacceptable. Like, we can understand that you will lose stoppages at times. It can't be out the front.
Yeah.
We call that clean ball, opposed to dirty, where it's a rush kick or it's not, the perfect execution. So you've got to minimise the damage coming out of the middle. And what I'd be saying to the Kangas right now is, you're under pressure. Let's have some forward structure, get our tools long down the line. We are okay with a long kick to a contest and take a stoppage. That's a win.
There's Powell and Greenwood working in tandem in the centre bounce. Thomas to Goldstein, who sends it towards half forward. Horn Francis attacked it hard. Nicely crumbed, though, by Taylor. Just off balance as he kicked, though. And that's a clean pick up there from Chandler. Just gets boot to ball, but only as far as Thomas. Taylor. As Patrick Walker on the outer side. Taylor disposed of it legally according to the umpire. Oliver there to pick up.
So strong by Oliver, just standing up in that tackle and giving off the hands.
Thumping left foot from Hibberd finds Ben Brown. He dropped the simple chest mark. Spargo calling for it in the pocket. Heads in that direction now. He's got Core for company. And he runs out of real estate in the end. Core there right on his hammer. And the strength of Oliver on display once again.
It's an obvious example, isn't it? Just two teams, individuals, but as a collective, just at different stages in their development. Kangas fumbling every now and then, slipping over, getting tackled in the ball dislodging, opposed to that Oliver one. Just stands up and gives it off on his terms.
Polek just able to get a hand pass off to Powell.
They're really swarming as well, the D's. I'd be interested to speak to Simon Goulden about, are you actually collapsing in? Are you actually putting too many people towards the tackler?
Yep.
And I know it's paying off at the moment. Just wonder whether that, against a clean team, whether he'd actually get overlapped and therefore leapfrogged. But so far it's working.
Harms put his head over the ball and able to feed it out towards Petrarca, who on his left foot snaps towards goal, and a rare blemish from Christian Petrarca as that one was out of bounds in the full. Last competitive game was a pretty decent one of the best individual grand final performances we've seen for a while.
Better than Dusty?
Luke Shuey's 2018 grand finals is seriously good as well. But Petrarca at the 39, a couple of goals as well.
I think anyone that plays half decent or just a good solid game on grand final day is okay in my books, let alone winning the medal.
Did you ever poll a Norm Smith vote in your grand finals that you played?
I could honestly say I don't know.
Right,
I could honestly assume that no would be the answer to that.
Okay, right. I would have thought you would know.
No, I don't.
Gawn and Goldstein. Thomas fumbled. He's had a lot of time on the ball so far, Taron Thomas. Oliver spun in the tackle. Pickett fed out the handball. Goldstein and Gawn going head-to-head again. Pickett brings down Thomas. A little dangerous with the tackle, but
it's got him too high. It wasn't the sling or the dump afterwards. He got done for the initial contact being over the shoulder. And now there's 50. I think that's a little bit of back chat. That's come from about 20 metres away from the play.
So Thomas will be advanced towards the edge of the centre square here. Plays on immediately, but there's a lot of demons around this ball. One of them is Gawn, who's so good at getting back to help out his defenders. Coleman Jones won it back, though, to Taylor. And Marnie just fumbled at the wrong time. The D's just a little cleaner at the clinches at the moment. Pickett accelerates away. McDonald got up high, hit the deck hard. There's a bit of a tunnel there from Turner. Free kick goes the way of McDonald, has 2 goals to his name so far. Great to have you with us on KO Sports, the third of our 9 pre-season practice matches. Flurry of games, particularly on Friday, and then we finish with Geelong and Richmond on Saturday. Langdon receives on the wing. They've switched the ball with ample efficiency here. Spargo, 80 metres out, inboard to Oliver. Roos have got numbers back, but Oliver is still not able to quite find a teammate. Greenwood intercepts, and they play on quickly here, the Roos. Lazaro received from Phillips. Zerha all the way up in the middle of the ground.
Got no forwards, though.
Bergman tried to look to one of his only forwards on offer in Coleman Jones, but sitting in the hole was May. And Langdon sees some free grass in front of him and kicks along towards Brown. Ball travels over the back, and it goes over the line and out of bounds in a dangerous position for the North Melbourne defence.
That's another example. We saw the 2 out of bounds on the full deep in the Kangas defence, which put pressure on. But that's also another example of how it puts pressure on them. They're losing their structure forward of the football. So when the Kangas are under pressure, coming through the half-back flank or through the middle, they've got no options. And Stephen May far too smart just picking that ball off.
Hayden was in there for North Melbourne. Patrick Walker applies the tackle. Hayden feeds out a hand pass. Greenwood and Petrarca do battle. McDonald lost control. Oliver gained control. Greenwood won it back, though, for North and clears the defensive 50. Meeting it first there is Coleman Jones, brought down by Gawn. Skipper asserting his authority. Bowie retreats to Neil Bullen, not the 15. That is just 15 to Sparrow. Tries to find a teammate inside 50. Brown met it. Thumped away there by his former teammate in Zeeble. Hayden. Horne-Francis checks the kick and places it nicely for Taylor.
It's a lovely kick. So this is the opportunity for the Kangas just to take a breath, get your structures in front of the football, get some yardage.
The ball has lived predominantly in Melbourne's forward half in recent minutes as Greenwood marks almost in the middle of the ground.
That was a gutsy kick, well executed.
Can they make the most of it? Patrick Walker. So rookie pick from the 2020 rookie draft. Yet to play a game, but having a really good look at it from a defensive point of view today. That kick was looking for Horne-Francis, but just pumped away from him. Speaking of Horne-Francis, famously in the lead up to the draft, Scotty Clayton, who's seen a lot of footy for 30-odd years as a recruiter, said Jason Horne-Francis was as good as any number 1 in years that he can remember.
Okay.
So high expectations.
So he's got a little bit to live up to, the young man.
His Sandful season last year was to die for. Gosh, that is a gutsy kick, a well-executed kick from the D's. It might go all the way for a goal. A long left foot from Chandler has found its way through the middle. Brown didn't even have to touch it.
That's gone 75 metres and 68 of them were on the fly.
Terrific kick from Chandler. He has got his second goal of the game, and the D's have 5 on the bounce.
What a lovely finish. There was an issue with the Kangas' defence as that ball was thrown in on the half-back flank. Ben Brown was out goal side. Far too much space, even if that ball hadn't have gone the distance. Look at that kick from Chandler. I'll have to have another look at that. I want to see that on the side-on angle to see if that was actually behind the centre circle when he pumped that inside forward 50.
Only 3 bounces and through it went. And that's a big confidence booster for Kay Chandler, who was linked to the Adelaide Crows pretty heavily during last year's trade period. Nothing came to fruition in the end.
Let's have a look at this again on the replay. Here he comes through the middle of the ground. So the missed handball. There's the turnover. Look how devastating.
He kicked that behind the centre square.
That's further than I thought. I reckon I've stolen 15 metres off him. Look at that ball dribble. Beautiful finish. And if it didn't go through himself, Ben Brown was there to grab it anyway.
Second goal for Chandler. Sparrow again in the centre bounce. Wrapped up by Phillips. Sparrow goes again. Try to feed it out towards Neil Bullen. Third time lucky for Sparrow, who sends it into the arc. Jordan has 2 to beat here. One of them is Young, working with Bergman, but Jordan applies a great, well, I thought it was a great tackle, but the umpire said it was too high. And Young can repel here for North. Former Bulldog. He's first season with the Roos last year, playing the 17 games. Holding free kick call by the umpire to go the way of Coleman Jones. Who's been involved in a lot of contests in this first half.
And that's all you can ask for your tools, particularly when you're under pressure. Get that long down the line option. Don't allow the opposition to mark the ball. That's a poor kick.
And the D's have got some space and smell some blood once again. Oliver to Neil Bullen. A little sloppy via hand, but they're able to work it out to Tomlinson, to Langdon. Langdon starting to get busy on that outer wing. Sends it deep inside 50. Brown well positioned, but well done by Court just to put himself in a decent position there to bring the ball to ground. Polek has time to assess, and he dropped there by Stevenson in a dangerous position. Bergman heavily met, and Pickett is waiting to pounce, and pounce he did. Wonderful pick-up, snaps towards the top of the goal square to McDonald, and the Roos get back just in time to force it into neutral territory.
They are devastating on turnover, the D's. They are just moving the ball at will. But more than that, Ben, they lock it in there forward 50 when it gets there. The likes of Cozzy Pickett, you are always under pressure.
2 goals straight to nothing in this quarter in favour of Melbourne. They're having a terrific quarter so far as Harms applies the stoppage, or forces the stoppage rather, with that tackle. Young got it to Coleman Jones off the deck. Phillips clears the danger towards the middle of the ground. Big one-on-one here. Zerha's barely seen any of the ball so far, and he's given away a free kick here, Cam Zerha.
Well, he's always going up against at least his direct opponent, if not 2, with the numbers behind the football for the D's. So Tomlinson's sitting 20 metres behind the kick right now, so they have safety behind the footy, good stability.
Big thump away there from Courts. A big year again for Cam Zerha. Played the 20 games last year. Rookie pick back in 2016. He's got 79 goals to his name, but he is
he's an impact player, though, isn't he?
Very much so.
He's the sort of player you want to get more of the football, but his style of football and also his positioning and role in this forward line means he's not always going to get heaps of the footy.
The D's have got good matchups for him today. Joel Smith's just gone on to him, Hibbard beforehand as well, so they're well positioned to try and thwart his
There's no easy ball.
Bowie off the pack. Shanked it off the boot. Left foot kick so that the Roos can have a good look from their half-back line here, but the D's, they're so disciplined defensively. Jackson and Tomlinson well back. Stephen May organising.
So Larky's going to have to come up and compete. He's the only tall down the line. He's going up against 2 or 3.
They try to pick one off short. It comes off in the end. Lazaro sweeps it Over the top towards Taylor. Terrific smother, though, from Smith. And Smith applies the tackle and wins a free for holding the ball. And the D's, again, have lots of options inside 50. And it's hard to ignore Ben Brown, who marks just inside the paint.
He's got the leg from there. We know he's a very straight approach when he kicks those set shots from this distance. Don't be surprised if he just arcs out to his right for a couple of extra metres. What about the system, the defensive system of the D's there? Had great representation long down the line. Larkey was the only option, but they also enticed the opposition. I think there's a nice short one through the middle, and they just pick him off.
So played 130 games with North Melbourne. Ben Brown famously kicking 60-plus goals in 3 consecutive seasons. From 52 metres, he has flushed that. He's hit that perfectly. Terrific kick from Ben Brown. He's got 2. He's the third demon with multiple goals in this game. And the D's have kicked their third of the quarter. They now lead by 28 points.
Well, he must be licking his lips after making that change to the D's. There was some conversation around his impact on the game, but at times you are a representation of what happens up the ground. The delivery wasn't always nice to him. Sometimes floaters don't hit their target, Ben. He goes to the D's and he can't help but mark the football because it hits him right on the chest time and time again. That kick inside, just off the line. And this is a lovely finish. Didn't arc out as much as I thought he would. Maybe just a step to the side. It's a beautiful finish.
And this time last year, obviously he's struggling with knee injuries. Him and Sam Wiedemann both struggling this time last year with knee injuries.
Still got that left knee heavily strapped, Ben.
He does, but he seems to be covering the ground really well today for the D's. Coleman Jones and Jackson have a turn in the ruck. Phillips tries to extract it here. He's got Jordan for company. Phillips missed his team at the handball. Harms and Brayshaw combine, and Harms will go onto the left and go short to Chandler. It was clean on the half volley to Petrarca. Pushing the back, advantage is paid to the D's. Jordan inside 50 to McDonald in front. Able to get the ball to ground there was Core. McDonald, though, follows up at ground level, normally really good on his left boot. Set a task there for Jordan. Stevenson had to sit there, brought it to ground. Jordan wins it back, though. Neil Bullen with the check side, and it was worked out. Found Brayshaw, and he's got a good look at the goals, 45-degree angle.
Just too fast, the D's.
And cleaner?
Yeah. That's a really good analysis there, Benny. Particularly at ground level, they are very, very good with their hands, particularly around contested situation. If it is to hit the deck or it's not in the perfect position, they're so quick to get back on and have running support beside them as well.
Played all 25 games in the 2021 Premiership campaign. Angus Brayshaw last year, just the 3 goals, averaged the 18 touches per game on the wing. He's looked pretty good off the boot, but just swung late and missed for the first minor score of the quarter.
There has been some conversation around Brayshaw about how much football he gets. And you look at the other side, you've got Langdon that runs all day, as does Brayshaw. Langdon seems to naturally get more of the football.
Yep.
Now, there is some suggestions about the role that he plays, and they call it the offside wing.
As that kick is just sport there by Turner, but Brayshaw is involved in this chain of handballs. Swings under that left boot with a plomb. McDonald caught behind and stumped over the line.
So the offside wing is very much a structural position. It holds the opposition and forces them to the narrow side, which doesn't allow them to switch the ball as much. Adam Tomlinson played a similar role at the Giants. So his role is so pivotal, but a lot of it is unseen and probably unrewarded externally, but internally loved.
And Ed Langdon, averaged the 4 more possessions per game last year. Here's Brayshaw, who able to gather cleanly at ground level. Rivers got it from Jordan, sends it high to the goal square. McDonald had the ball thumped away there from Core and through for another minor score. So Aiden Core's 195 centimetres, but can often play below his height. Can play on both the smalls and the talls.
Well, just back to Brayshaw, you only kicked the 3 goals that last year. You think about that one going back with the flight of it in a really vulnerable position. Takes that really brave mark and then goes back and finishes his good work.
Zeeble down the guts, hoping for Coleman Jones, who's, again, doing well to bring the ball to ground. And they've done well here through Taylor and Stevenson to find some open space. The kick sets Zerha a task. He's got Hibbard for company, and he gives the don't argue on Hibbard and did well not to get him high as well. Retreats to Polek, who's going to go on the right boot. Not his best effort. Taylor. Oh, and going in hard and low there was Zerha. Great follow-up effort. Unfortunately for him, though, the D's have won the ball back. Rivers to Hibberd to Brayshaw, all via hand. Back to Hibberd. Great rebound and cleanliness from the D's. Petrarca got hands to ball. McDonald ran into Petrarca, but he's still got time to find Jackson over the top. He's got Spargo to his left, Harms to his right. Spargo goes to Harms. That is textbook coast-to-coast play from the D's.
That is devastating ball movement. Electrifying. Harms came from the back flank. He was involved in that initial contest. Petrarca was forward of the football. What I love about that, that's just in case sort of running.
Yep.
Just in case you need me, Ben, I'll be there running shotgun. And Harms gets rewarded getting the football. There'll be times that he doesn't. That is just a power surge from the half-back flank.
The D's hard running on display there as Harms has already had an opportunity for goal today.
Nice finish.
And that's a lovely finish as well. So they've got their kicking boots on the D's. 8 goals, 3 they move to now. That's 7 goals on the trot. And the Roos still yet to score in this quarter. And I know the scoreboard isn't everything or, at all really in terms of a pre-season match. But it just goes to show how powerful the D's are looking in their first official hit out against a rival side.
Look at Harms coming from the right of screen. Just getting in there now. Charlie Spargo running boundary side for support. Harms coming on the corridor side. That's just weight of numbers. So for the Kangas, there's obviously a lot of learnings out of this. Now, the players you feel probably need to reflect on this post-game. It's really difficult to change it and probably analyse exactly how you're getting scored against right now.
Yep.
But it's those defensive layers. So there's a saying that one gets it done. So one comes forward to defend and tackle. And if you're not in that first layer of attack, you've got to cover off a receiver. At this stage, they're just getting pinballed through. And the overlap handball is costing them.
And their run and gun game has been awesome today. The D's. Greenwood gets the clearance just off the ground, though. Patrick Walker under the pump. There's just no easy Kangaroos possessions at the moment. Horn Francis, great handball, though, to Greenwood. Sent it deep to the goal square. Larky had good positioning, but still Stephen May good enough to thump it through for a rush behind. That's North Melbourne's first score of the quarter. And May wastes no time as well, finding Rivers, and not in the play, according to the boundary umpire, who had perfect view of that Bowie marking attempt. And Stevenson can look to try and find a North Melbourne teammate inside 50. As you can see, terrific crowd in attendance as well on a Thursday morning.
Excited to see some men's football back.
Yeah. Stevenson. Oh, big fly over the top there from Horn Francis in the end. He's a little slow to get to his feet. In the meantime, Larky snaps towards goal, and that's deemed to be touched off the boot. And through for another minor score. Horn Francis a little slow to get to his feet. Really hit the deck hard. But he's all good.
He moves a lot like Jack Siebel. Just the style of running, the way that he's a power athlete, gets after the football. Almost in a kamikaze style at times, isn't he? You can already see some signs about why North Melbourne supporters should be really excited with the way that he moves around the ground. Hasn't had a huge impact on the game. That's not what it's about just yet. It's about getting a feel for the speed of it coming up against the best in the competition as well.
Yeah, and it's seriously quick the D's are playing today. Their hands are so slick. Jackson went up hard. There is Zeeble able to pick up the crumbs at ground level. Not a great kick. Oliver able to get a boot to ball there. Thomas retreats to Polek, who's got his hands on the ball a bit today. Set Taylor a task, though. Marnie gave it straight to Oliver. And this is where the D's have been so damaging on counter-attack today. Harms to Gawn. They're lining up here. Brayshaw all by himself again at this left half forward flank area. Oh, he just lost his balance there, and Stevenson good enough to keep his feet. And goes with a kick around the body. Patrick Walker is there with Bowie.
That was 10 centimetres too far. Yes. Otherwise, Brayshaw takes an uncontested mark. But once again, you just see the ability in the game awareness as that's turned over on the far side. Oliver, little kick inside, just off the line. Ball gets switched through the middle to Gawn. And Brayshaw playing that offside wing.
Yep.
Gets an opportunity.
Another clearance for Oliver to pick it to Petrarca to Neil Bullen. Linking up by hand once again. Neil Bullen might go towards goal. It looks good off the boots, and it bounces through. Another long-range goal from the Demons. First from Chandler from the car park. This one from just outside 50 from Alex Neil-Bullen, who gets his first of the day, and the D's now have a 40-point lead.
So a general rule for all clubs, you can't allow Christian Petrarca to be free forward of the football. You see the Kangas come up once again, all the players coming up to try and impact the play. That allows the D's to get that overlap handball. That's a really good decision by Neil-Bullen. Had Ben Brown leading up, had Charlie Spargo in the left pocket, but backed himself in, and rightly so, took responsibility and executed.
So Neil-Bullen gets his first for the day. 15 goals last year, played all 25 games in the Melbourne Premiership campaign, finished 8th in the best and fairest as well, which is a really true reflection of how important he was.
That's a really impressive number.
Yeah.
Wasn't aware of that. 8th in the best and fairest.
Yeah.
Highlights the role and how important clubs value those style of plays. Everybody needs them.
He's lining up here on Greenwood at the centre bounce. Is gone. Oh, beautiful. Down to Petrarca, to Oliver. Rinse and repeat. Petrarca gets it back. Don't argue there on Thomas. Just missed Salem with a handball, but gets a lucky bounce. Greenwood follows up. Got the heavy hit there, Greenwood, from Salem as he was going past. He's straight back to his feet, though, and will take the free kick. Scott streaming off half back here to Thomas. To Hayden. Trying to pinpoint a pass inside 50, but that's easier said than done against this Demons defence, which is so disciplined and organised. Salem missed the kick, though, and Hayden has marked at 70 metres out from goal.
Kangas trying to generate some overlap run. Now, the threat of that is you put yourself under more pressure than you were initially.
Coleman Jones attacked the ball hard, but Tomlinson was there to fist it over the line and out of bounds. And with Harry Petty not playing and Jake Lever not playing, Tomlinson has just slotted back into this defensive system with a Plomdale.
You think that he's back in their best 22 when it's all said and done and the whips are cracking. Can play tall and small.
Salem on the right, clears. McDonald got an unkind bounce. Scott was right there with him. Paddles it to Patrick Walker. Back to Scott. Hayden was there, but Petrarca right beside him. No easy handball here, but well done by Hayden to find Thomas, who goes short. It's waiting there to intercept there was Joel Smith, and Langdon again on that outer wing. Trying to create some space and some momentum. Horn Francis, great chase there. Fists the ball away from Rivers. Umpire said he did it legally as well and got it into neutral territory.
And as always, every time we cover a North Melbourne game, we have to speak about their runner, Brent Harvey. He's looking better than he did ever as a player, and that's saying something. If he was in this shape while he was playing, he would have played 500.
And just noticing the runner for Melbourne as well is, of course, former Richmond and Fremantle player Reece Conker, who's
correct.
Joined Melbourne in an off-field role this year. But yes, Boomer covering the ground with a plom.
You wouldn't have thought that Reece Conker's got a lot of messages to send out just yet. His role is probably the easiest here today.
Yeah.
He'd be just keep doing what you're doing.
Just clock up the Ks on Strava for the day. That's his role. So boundary throw in here with just over 2 minutes remaining in this second quarter. Gone down to Langdon to Pickett. And working out via hand with Harms. Brown on a searching lead.
Beautiful hands out in front. That's a laser.
Ben Brown hoping for McDonald. Just fumbled at the wrong time. It was a pretty slick half-volley pick-up there attempt, but over the line and out of bounds.
What the D's are doing really well, and this will challenge all opposition, is they reset really hard back to goal. So as soon as there's a turnover or Ben Brown marks that football, when they see that they have got the footy, their forwards are racing back, lengthening the ground, giving them representation forward of the football.
Thomas with another clearance. Back to Polek. Just puts it on the left boot and hope than anything else. Rivers read it well and got it out of bounds. And when you reflect on North Melbourne's campaign last year, they were 0-6 after round 6 with a percentage of 46, but still finished 4 wins, 1 draw, 17 losses, and a percentage of 70. A percentage of 70 for an 18th place team is still a very good result considering the amount of losses they racked up. There were so many positive signs in the final 2/3 of last season for North Melbourne, and hopefully they can take that into this year. Scott, Horn Francis, hoping for Zerha. Hibbert tracking him closely. And Zerha is forced into a rush kick and out of bounds in the full, and it's been a tough first half so far for Cam Zerha.
He won't stop trying though, no. Benny.
Definitely not.
He is of the type that it'll just make him more determined. Don't be surprised if he runs through somebody.
that's the thing. You've got Tomlinson coming back into the side. We saw how good and influential and effective Michael Hibberd was in that sort of more lockdown, small defender role during the final series last year. You've got Joel Smith as well, who was a bit unlucky. He had a hamstring injury during the final series. That's why he didn't play in the premiership. They're just blessed with defensive options, the D's. Here is Smith. Can't slip the Stevenson tackle. And the Roos run out of time. That was a really nice bit of play late in that second quarter. But unfortunately, that was a demolition in that second term. They kicked 5 goals to zip. That was 5 goals, 2 to 2 behinds. And they take a 40-point lead at halftime, 9-3-57 to North Melbourne, 2-5-17. 2 goals each to McDonald, Chandler and Ben Brown, the only multiple goal kickers on the ground. Just a quick word from you, Dal, before we head to some highlights at halftime. We saw just a glimpse of the D's best in that second quarter, didn't we?
Oh, just the thing of beauty, both with ball in hand, the way that the D's were able to move the ball once again from their D50 all the way through, almost untouched. Their ability to lengthen the ground and really make some tough decisions. Do the Kangas come forward to pressure, or do they retreat back and try and cover the goal line? But also around the contest, they're cleaner. Their bodies are bigger and stronger and therefore able to stand up in those tackles. And from a Kangas perspective, they're still trying. They've just collapsed with their system. They're all coming in to try and impact the play while not covering off their direct opponent. A lot of learnings for the Kangas. No doubt. We'll see a couple of different players in the second half as well as we rotate through a couple of different players. But that is halftime here at Casey Field.